I'll go ahead and call this regular Board of Education meeting to order. Before we ever even get started, there are quite a few additions to the agenda, just so that everybody has a chance to write these down, because I will go through them a couple of times. Under employment on the consent agenda, number 5, Vanessa Hines, Title I Coordinator, MTSS Interventionalist, and you have her recommendation sheet in front of you. There's a number 6 there under employment. That would be Julie Cook as the case sponsor. Under resignations, we have a number 4, Sarah Malcolm as the Council Grove Junior High Quiz Bowl coach. And then under business items and reports on the back, under number 5, after approved 504 procedures, we have some RFPs in front of everyone regarding furniture. So those will go in front of our executive sessions. And so everyone is aware there will be a couple of executive sessions this evening, but there will be no action taken. We know that we've got programs and other things going on, and we'll have people coming in and out of the room. So I think we're gonna forego introductions tonight. It looks like everybody knows everybody. So our next item is the empty chair philosophy. Mrs. Meyer.
You'll notice an empty chair in the middle of the boardroom. I asked you to picture a student in our district, whether it be one in the classroom, on the stage, or on the court or field, that is represented by the empty chair. We are here for students, and all decisions should be made keeping students at the forefront of all those decisions. As the best schools make decisions based on the needs and interests of their students, not the habits and traditions of the adults, I ask you to keep that student in your mind while making decisions to ensure the best interest of our students by providing a safe learning environment that is relevant and rigorous to prepare them for post-secondary endeavors.
Thank you. Our next item, again, additions and approval of the agenda. Again, 2 additional employment items, 5 and 6. A single additional resignation, which would be number 4. And then the addition of the RFP for furniture under business items under number 5. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as amended.
It's the entire agenda.
Oh, sorry, the entire agenda as amended.
I will second.
It's been moved by Jamie, seconded by Patty to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Comments from USD 417 patrons? All right. We are going to come back to the spotlight on education if Evan gets here this evening. So when he does that, we'll bounce back to that item. The next item is approval of the consent agenda. That includes minutes of the previous meetings, April 15th, 2024 and April 18th, 2024. Financial reports and pay bills in the amount of $696,037.45. Donations and gifts. The 2024-2025 staff handbook for Council Grove Elementary School, Council Grove Junior Senior High School, and Prairie Heights Elementary School. The 2024-2025 student handbooks for Council Grove Elementary School, Council Grove Junior Senior High School and Prairie Heights Elementary School, the 2024-2025 Transportation Handbook, the 2024-2025 Coaches Handbook, the 2024-2025 Student Fee Schedule, the 2024-2025 Supplemental Assignments, and under Personnel, the employment of Shelley Esslinger as the Council Grove Junior Senior High School Student Support Teacher, Milo Butler as the high school head volleyball coach, Clara Eldridge as the junior high head volleyball coach, Christina Balboa as the Council Grove Elementary School 5th grade teacher, Vanessa Hines as the Title I Coordinator MTSS Interventionalist, and Julie Cook as the case sponsor. Under resignations, we have Matt Wilkins as the Council Grove Junior Senior High School head volleyball coach, Dustin San Romani as the junior high head football coach, Danny Sisson as the Council Grove Junior Senior High School Prairie Heights Elementary School student support specialist, and Sarah Malcolm as the junior high quiz bowl coach. Is there anything you would like to see removed from the consent agenda?
Are those handbooks somewhere we could access?
Yeah, those handbooks were in the drive
Okay.
as a separate email. They weren't included with the packet because of the length of the pages.
Okay,
Do you want
That's
to
fine.
pull those for next
No.
time?
no, I just wanna make sure we can access them.
Yes,
Thank you, sorry, I should have.
that's okay. They were huge, so we didn't want to throw them in with the packet. We have a million pages.
Yeah. Give me the cliff notes.
Yeah, and if you have a chance to go through those, if there's anything that you see that's like a typo or anything we need to fix, just let them know and we can make those adjustments. All right, hearing that nothing wants to be, no one has anything that they want to have pulled, could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Madam President, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Jamie, seconded by Kelsey to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item is administrative reports, and we've got these in a little bit different order this evening. We're gonna start with Mrs. Gear, because she's got a program to get to.
Yes, in your packet, you should have the draft professional development plan. This has to be submitted to the state at the end of the month, but before I can submit, I need your approval. So on page 4, there is a table of contents. I'm not gonna go through the entire thing with you because it's a lot. But thank goodness for our team at Greenbush. They submitted a draft to us. The orange color is basically like statute or policy that we wouldn't change. This is the way we have to do business. And the yellow highlight is what we changed on our professional development committee, our council, we got to choose. So the yellow is what we actually put in. The orange is more policy and regulation. So they helped us out by building us the draft, and then we just had to go in and fill in our piece, which I'm so thankful for. It saved us a ton of time. So the Professional Development Council met, we went over this. The table of contents on page 4 kind of summarizes what's all in here. It's basically just how we do business in this district, how our PDC runs, how we approve points. It's more like a handbook than a plan. I think when you think of professional development plan, you're thinking, oh, what are they gonna do for the next 5 years? That's not what this is about. This is about how we run our PDC, so how we get our members and how we approve points. Like I said, a lot of it, you'll see a lot of orange because a lot of it is directed by policy or regulation, so we don't really get to decide that part. We do get to make some decisions on how we like choose our members, things like that. But luckily, we had a handbook already in place, so I just kind of had to copy what we've already been doing into this plan. And this will be approved for 5 years by the state. so we don't have to do it again for another 5 years, so that's exciting too. There's a lot of information, if you wanted to know more about what we do, you could look in here, talks about like how we do our meetings, when we meet. Kelsey, what else is it? Kelsey's our board member on PDC, so it's a lot,
Yeah,
it's a whole lot.
But you covered it well.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good
So as a
explanation.
teacher, if you have a professional license, every 5 years, you either have to have some type of college credit or professional development points to move across the scale to increase, or you need that every 5 years to renew your license. The initial license for first-year teachers, is it a 1-year, 2-year? And so then it gives them how many professional development points they have to have, how many more college credit hours they need just to renew their license. So for me, as long as I've been around and having a master's degree, I needed 60 points to renew my license, which I did last summer. So everybody has to have that continue with their license. So when she talks about PDP points, they keep a record of it and turn it into the state for us.
And everybody's license, depending on how much education you have, depending on different things, it requires a different number of points, so that's always, when people ask me how many points, I'm like, well, hold on, let me go look at your license, because it says on there, so. But we have a system that also we use through Greenbush that houses all of the points and activities and things that we do, so.
So you said the statute pieces are orange, our pieces are,
Or
Yellow.
Yellow.
what is the teal color?
Teal, let me look here, do you have a page? Oh,
Yeah,
that was a
7.
note, like on page 6 and 7, I wanted our group to see the difference between teacher and leader because we do those separately. So that was just a highlight for us. When I submit this, all of the highlights will be taken out. This was just kind of to help us stay organized when we were editing this massive document. And there's lots of good visuals that they put in for us too. There's some things at the back, like you can see what our PDP toolbox actually looks like. There's screenshots in there. So, and again, they put all of that in there for us, so it was very nice. Made it a lot easier for our group to go through it. So we have to have approval from you guys that we can basically continue doing what we're doing. We didn't really change anything from what we have been doing. And then I'll submit it to the state for their final approval.
Any other questions?
Nice job. I mean, it's, you get this that has to have all this legalese in it from the state that's required for every school district, and it gets to be cumbersome to read through it, so.
It's a lot.
And that was a good portion of our packet too.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot.
any questions from Ms. Gare before she leaves? We will actually have this as a business item to discuss later, so she was just here to provide the update for that.
If anything comes up, you guys know how to get with me, if you have questions or catch anything that needs to be fixed, so.
Council Grove Elementary School, Heather and Kelsey are over at the program, so any updates from them that we aren't?
I didn't receive anything new.
Okay. Prairie Heights Elementary, Chris, anything? I'm gonna assume no news is good news
Yeah,
unless he cuts in on us.
He didn't send
so-
anything new.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Dornbos, junior, senior high school.
Just if anybody has any questions, I think I emailed everybody instructions for graduation time to be there, so, or 8th grade promotion, so let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Busy week ahead over in your building. How was step up day today? 6th graders had an opportunity
It
to,
was good. We've kind of scaled that back since they had the opportunity to then come for a step-up day basically again in the fall. So, but it was good. They got in our building, they took a tour, they got to learn a little bit about what's going on.
great, thank you. Health and wellness, Mrs. Wright.
I don't think I have anything to add to what I already reported, unless you have questions.
Great. Mrs. Meyer.
Mrs. Meyer has a list here. Teacher Appreciation Week was last week. You have bags. Probably if you flip over the Teacher Appreciation card, just put your name on it. Rachel Tompkins put all this together. Every employee in our district received one. And we actually collated 200 bags here. So there are goodie snacks in there for everybody, and Becky Shear and Rachel and I just went around the table and filled them up. But Rachel, a big thank you to her for putting this all together each year. District technology policy, we talked about this last fall, and we wasn't quite sure what types of funding we were spending for repairs. And Bryce gave me, like, for the last 6 or 7 months, maybe we've spent $2,000. And we talked about if it's 20,000, then maybe we need to charge kids, but it's a very small amount. And as you can see on the student fees, we already charge everybody, what, $75 or something for the technology fees. And the tech committee decided that once we got with Dustin Weber, we decided that we would keep the policy that we have. We thought it was well-written, and students are charged when it's intentional, and the intentional is in our policy. So it's up to who is ever repairing and or the school librarian that takes care of that and turns it in. So I think we're in good shape by keeping our policy the way it was. It was approved on January 9th of 2023. The junior senior high has an area on the roof that needs repaired. And Tom has been up there with different people. But right now, we're working with Tim Tyner and EMC to see about what coverage we have. And so Tim was in the office last week. We hope to hear from him here in this next week to see if and how much any coverage it is. We had some repair done last year, and I'm not quite sure if that got overlooked or if it wasn't damaged or whatever, so we just need to see what kind of amount is gonna come from the insurance company. Pickleball courts, can you wanna pull that up? So when we had the track meet last week, I walked by the new pickleball courts. This is us. This is amazing. So there are 4 courts, 8 courts, come on.
So there's 4 courts.
There you go.
I'll tell you, so they've done some work since then, and we're not quite done, but what you see there on the far side, they got in the wrong post, and so we made them, I took some pictures and made them reorder posts that are convertible, and they weren't
Yes.
fitting in the holes that have been bored out. But at this point, all the work is done on the courts. We're not kind of publicizing that because we still have some work to do, like the slats are coming in to, on your north and south side, there will be blue and gold slats in the fence.
Deflect the wind,
And then we ordered some signage, Rick Paul at Red Bud Design. I did a bunch of signage for us. We have a name of the facility, kind of the Council Grove Junior, Senior High School tennis and pickleball facility, and then it has a thank you to sponsors that are groups that sponsored. And then we've got rules signs that we need to put up.
So you can see it's still set up for single tennis or double tennis and or pickleball. So there's a lot of uses, and I know your PE teacher just ordered some pickleball paddles for fall. So this looks fantastic out there. So if you haven't driven by that side down by the football field.
Ellis just sent us a maintenance plan
Yes.
today to try to we didn't have any of that when we put in the tennis courts originally, so hopefully we can take better care of them now.
The old gym at the high school, air conditioning doesn't work. And so when Tom went to look at it, he had found out that it had been parted out. It wasn't working at all, that formerly they had taken parts off of it to repair something else. So there's no air conditioning there. He has one bid, but we're waiting on that second bid because it's well over $20,000. And we're hoping the second company comes in with that bid pretty soon so we can get something set up for summer. So I think last month I had given you a picture of some possibilities of changing the parking area at Council Grove Elementary. And Kelsey Brimmer had kind of drawn non-official scale on the backside about moving that parking lot up front by the highway, different things like that. So we had a formal meeting with Ben Moore and BHS Construction about the window maintenance or window replacement that will be here sometime right after Memorial Day weekend. And I had shown him that picture and he said, and I said, we need to do a study. We need to do a study about a parent loop and a bus loop. We need to see what needs to go where. And he's going to come back with an estimate for us and find a company that can give us a pretty good study. Our kids aren't safe. We've got kids and parents not being patient sometimes, picking up kids at night or even dropping them off in the morning. We don't have a lot of room to work with, but I think we can probably do it smarter than what we're doing now. So we'll wait to see what Ben comes up with on a study for us. So I think that is a very good investment. That's the end of my list. Unless you have any questions about anything that is just topped off my head or I don't remember, who knows? This is the time of year that every policy that involves the state or report or procedures is due. So a lot of paperwork's being happening, just like Valerie, she won't have to do that professional development plan for 5 years. But with the help of Dana, this is later for our 504 procedures. We've been working back and forth getting that laid out. We got a new notice from the state about inoculations and extra wording that we have to notify parents. What was the other thing that came up? I don't know. It's just been, it seems like at the beginning of each week, we just get a list of stuff and we keep thinking that, oh, this is new. We need to come up with the right wording for us. So trying to keep up with the state. The legislators are meeting the 14th and 15th of May, which is tomorrow and Wednesday. We do not have a final amount on what special education is going to cost us. We have an estimate with the 75 million they say they're going to disperse and how much extra money, but until they actually vote on something, we don't even know if our student headcount amount will come out until they're done. So, and then Governor Kelly's calling another extra session for something. Is that the tax bill?
Yes.
Yeah. So I know last year at this time, in Belleville, we did not negotiate till after the 1st of July. They were still meeting toward the 3rd week of June. So you didn't know what your extra funds were going to be. So we just have to be patient. But we do have to be settled by July 31st with the teachers so you don't have to go to impasse and hire a mediator.
That's a requirement to hire a mediator, even if both sides are still willing to work on it?
You have so many days to do that once you're in impasse.
Okay. I didn't know impasse kicked in automatically. That must be new from what
It will kick in automatically August 1st if we're not settled.
Okay.
But then they'll give you X amount of time to come to agreement, and let's just say by September 30th you have not agreed, then they're probably gonna tell you to hire a mediator.
Okay.
The dates have changed, so I've been through that once, it's not pleasant. And we actually went to unilateral contracts that year, so.
We're just waiting on a budget, some budget, so. All right, the other directors, Matt, you have anything?
No.
Thank you for being here. All right, board members, any comments or items? Anyone? All right, we'll just keep going then.
We might get through this.
Our first business item is to approve the 5-year PD plan that Mrs. Gear presented.
Okay. So you need a motion.
I do, please.
And PDC or PDP, how would you like that worded?
It's just the 5-year PD plan, is how it's listed in the,
Madam President, I move to approve the 5-year PD plan as presented by Valerie Gear.
I'll second.
it's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Donnie to approve the 5-year PD plan as presented by Mrs. Gear. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item, these next 2 items are discussions because we always discuss policy and then we'll approve them at the next month's meeting. So we have 2 policies, the JGCB inoculations policy, and then the next item is the revised DFAA grants and other outside financial resources policy. So let's start with the JGCB inoculations policy. Mrs. Reddick.
Well, as you got in your packet, I provided a edited version of the policy for your approval and put in those highlighted areas, which the whole policy is kind of reworded, but the changes really are the highlighted parts. One of the big things is adding in, instead of the policy just saying that alternatives would be per statutory, it actually listed out what those other options are if the student is not up to date on inoculations, being that a written annual statement from the doctor for medical reasons or a religious exemption as well. So it actually puts that into the policy, which is we've always allowed for that, but this spells it out in the policy for everybody to understand a little bit better. Really, the only other thing is, determining, we actually put in that 4 weeks that the student must be, up to date, or on that plan of being up to date, by 4 weeks after they enroll. So again, it doesn't really change a lot because, we enroll in July, we start in August, we're usually just about to that 4 weeks anyway. And it does tend to take Brenda and I a little bit of time to get through all those different inoculations to make sure everybody's where they need to be. So it just more or less spells out that 4-week period after enrollment, that we give out that notification. And then the other change kind of down on number 7, change that to that the school nurse will be the one that puts out that information at the beginning of the school year to parents or guardians of what inoculations are required. So it did used to say superintendent, but that is typically something that I do anyway, so I just changed it to say that. So, does anybody have any questions on this particular?
Do you usually have any trouble with that?
A little bit, but a lot of times if it gets to the point that we have to send out a letter that says, hey, if your kid is not up to date, this has to be done or they'll be excluded, that's when it gets done. So we really don't fall into too much trouble with the policy at all.
So the notifications would go to a parent if they
Right,
forgot or
right,
whatnot.
right, yes.
I've been on the receiving end of that, so it's a letter and a phone call
I
that
can
comes to
see
the
it being
office.
easily overlooked
Yeah,
by a
Oh,
parent,
right.
not just on accident with so many
Right.
things going on, so.
Yeah, and every year there tends to be some different updates from the state, and so it is something that can very easily be missed by a parent to know that it even needs done, so.
So the tetanus shot students have to have when they begin school, kindergarten year.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then the renewal is before high school, or is it now moved down to junior high?
It's seventh grade now. for-
Seventh grade.
Yeah, yeah. And the meningitis vaccine is kind of a newer one that is required when they enter seventh grade. But they've also, they've been kind of adding in the hepatitis A year by year, including an additional grade level, and that's up into high school now as well. So, so we're checking several different grade levels instead of just kindergarten. It's, kindergarten, all new students, seventh grade, and now I have to check 9th, 10th, and 11th because of those meningitis and hepatitis A vaccines, so.
Are parents able to reach out to you or Renda before school's out regarding, I know a lot of kids get the physicals before the fall,
Absolutely,
to
yes.
see,
Mhm.
is there anything we need to get before? And I'm assuming the doctor would know
Yes,
those,
yes,
so we
if they're
just,
going in for those yearly
Yeah.
physicals, like we always encourage them to do, that they should be going over that with their doctors, but, if they get in a hurry or for whatever reason, it gets missed, we can help them with that, and we did include that information in our April newsletters to all of our buildings, what next year's, updates are, so we'll do that again, when we hit enrollment time in August, we'll make sure we get that information out again, so.
so our previous policy was last updated on 8/18, and then the new policy would be, it starts out with inoculation policy and has all of the policy rewritten with the yellow in it, because again, as Mrs. Reddick said, there were some state statute requirements that came out that required parents to be notified of some additional options prior to enrollment, so we had to get this on this month's agenda. So if there's any questions? If not, this will be added to our consent agenda for our June meeting. Thank you. The next item is the revised DFAA grants and the other outside financial resources policy. The old policy is on the blue page in the packet that's from 2004. And then the new wording is on the page behind that, with the addition of that single sentence.
So, right now it says you shall approve all grant applications before their submission. That's not our practice. Our practice is at the earliest convenient, all potential grant money shall be approved upon receipt before their expenditure. And that's what you're seeing, is when the money comes in, the board approves that, and then we're allowed to purchase the items that were included in that grant. So that'll be something that we discuss it tonight, we'll approve it next month.
Any questions regarding the change to the DFAA policy to actually match our practices? We're probably gonna see a lot more of these as Amber is working with KSB going through our policy handbook. We'll have several more of these things that we're catching that are, have not been looked at, and that one's 20 years old, so just letting us know what those look like. So again, if there's no questions or concerns, then the DFAA policy will be placed on the consent agenda in June. The next item, again, is good news. The I Am Healthy Parents First Health Initiative. Mrs. Reddick.
Yes, so hence why we're looking at this policy. So, as you've probably seen in my reports these last few months, we've already kind of mentioned the I Am Healthy Parents First initiative, and that is what our 1st through 5th grade students and their parents, some of them have signed up and have started to do. And so those that have signed up and qualified are getting scales and weight scales and their wristbands, their watches that are telling them their steps, and so that's all really exciting. This is kind of in addition to that. It's the same program, but it's more of a community school grant that they offered out to us. They're calling us the health champions that are kind of working with these parents and encouraging them to sign up for this program. But it allows for $1,000 for either physical activity or nutrition, something health related that we're involving our kids and maybe our community in. And so I wrote our grant to help with our Body Venture exhibit that we're going to be bringing in December, which we try to do every 5 years anyway. And typically our PTO will help with funding for that. And so what I wanted to do was, if our PTO, in the fall and going into December when we hope to get it, if they choose to go ahead and fund that, then this grant would help pay for the water, healthy snacks, and getting things like jump ropes for all the kids, something that would include physical activity as well. But we have several community members that come in and help with that, and different students at the junior senior high school that come in, like our HOSA group, and all of our K through 5 students get to go through that exhibit. So it's a really neat KSE exhibit that our kids always love. So, and it just kind of involves school and community. So if our PTO doesn't choose to fund that, then the grant itself would help pay for the exhibit. And then we would just get the jump rope prizes and the water and healthy snacks too. So that is it.
So what we're seeking at this time is a motion to approve the I Am Healthy Parents First Health Initiative grant for the $1,000.
I'll move. Or so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Donnie, to approve the I Am Healthy Parents First Health Initiative grant for $1,000. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Again, Mrs. Reddick and Mrs. Meyer, the next item is the 504 procedures.
With the help of Mrs. Reddick, 504 is a help that we can give to students that don't qualify for special education. Some of it's medical, some of it's non-medical. A medical example is my child has poor sight and has to wear really thick glasses. Could you sit him to the front of the room? Or my child doesn't have good hearing. Or there's all kinds of accommodations that be made. A lot of the non-medical are behavior. Either I just got signed out of special education, or I'm right on that bubble that I wasn't approved to be in special or didn't qualify for special education. And so the behavior issues kind of come up until maybe special education will qualify them. So basically the changes in our procedures in here were because of a shift in movement in employees. And so in the packet that you were sent, Mrs. Reddick is now the contact to be the district-wide 504, but coordinator. But on the two basic 504 steps that are in your packet, one's the old one, one's the new one. The only thing on here that basically has changed is the first paragraph, and I'll read that to you. All medical 504 plans will be supervised by the district's 504 coordinator, Director of USD 417 Health Services. All non-medical 504 plans will be supervised by the principal of Perry Heights Elementary as Assistant 504 Coordinator. So all the steps in here, how maybe a teacher goes to a principal and a principal will contact the coordinators, whether it's medical or non-medical, to then start looking at if we need to provide assistance. Yeah,
And I do appreciate the trainings that you've sent, Mrs. Brimmer and myself too over the last couple of years. I'm glad I've gotten involved in being able to go to those, because there's, all the legalities and the paperwork that are very important with these procedures. I feel like I know a lot more about now.
and since these are procedures, it's not a policy that we're going to wait on. We can go ahead and approve that tonight.
So the motion this evening would be a motion to approve the 504 procedures as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Donnie to approve the 504 procedures as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is our addition to our business items and our reports. It's the RFP that is in front of you regarding our furniture.
So, all teachers, employees can put together a wish list and request, whether needing a new chair, do we need a desk that fits in here better, et cetera, et cetera. You can, see on the first list how many things were requested for next year. And then we send those out, we sent, a proposal out to Navrats out of Emporia and to School Specialty. And we have those two bids in. Navrats is $61,023.64, and School Specialty is $65,509.87. I would recommend we take a low bid from Navrats. Sorry, we just got these in today, but I think it's important that we looked at them tonight and make sure we get things ordered so we have them at the beginning of school.
If I remember from last year correctly, this is pretty average for something like this, correct? This is a normal yearly, no, it
Probably.
is, probably, okay.
Yeah, this is
I felt like it was a pretty hefty list last year as well.
right.
Okay.
Some of it's wear and tear, some of it's requests, some of it may be because of those 504s, some of it may be, teacher needs.
I don't know if
So-
it would help the newer ones.
Right.
Some are whiteboards. Whiteboards get old and are hard to clean. Chairs are chairs, teacher chairs. And there's quite a few student desks on there that we need to have in a rotation.
We got a new desk over here too.
Jeremy makes this
The
super
squeaky
long.
one, the squeaky one. Just some WD-40. I'm gonna give everybody just a moment to go ahead and look through this, since we just got this evening. That way, if there's any other questions.
And then, Nancy, what, does this come out of general funds for this,
Yes,
for this?
yes.
For
General
this
funds.
year?
You can also use capital outlay, but if you looked on the percentages that we have here in our accounts, we should be at 12.5% remaining. We have 1.5 months left. So if you look at general fund, it's sitting at 57%.
Okay.
We're in good financial set there, and that would be my recommendation.
I have a question, what is the functionality of the electric adjustable desk? I see those are $1,100 each, I'm just curious why.
I don't know,
What
electric
is the
desk,
use of an electric
we'll let
adjustable
Jay
desk?
explain that.
Well,
That's for CGES, it
It's-
says.
I don't know if we have any in our building that have been ordered, but I do know from the past, it's where you can have a standing desk where it's just electric. It just shifts from being able to sit to being able to stand at your desk. I don't know where those were ordered.
And I can't tell you who ordered it, so.
I know I have one, we have those in the health office, because we do a lot of running back and forth and not really sitting down. And I've had several staff members that have come in wanting to look at it. It's like, I don't know who ordered them either, but.
They're kind of a nice alternative to sitting all day. I mean, it's better for your,
But
I would say,
teachers aren't sitting all day.
But sometimes,
Right,
well,
yeah, you just get a
I would say
stand
for
for
a
your.
teacher, you know, sometimes when you have to be at your desk, but you wanna be standing and presenting, it may be a good option.
But can't you get the computer stands that move up and down? Rather than buying an entire desk? I'm just asking.
Well, I think what this is something that was, I'm not looking at that, but I've seen them where you sit them on a desk and it's not an entire desk, it's actually just a platform for your computer and where you present it from, but I don't know.
Well, it's,
I don't know specifically
they're
what.
$1,300 a piece, is why
I don't.
we're questioning that.
is this, I guess we don't know if it's teacher or if it's,
These are
or
teacher,
these are teachers.
the description
So it
is on that
Really sure this has
page.
a button, just a second.
Alright, so real quick though, this isn't really something that we should be talking about in here. These are decisions that you guys should be making without, I mean,
Yeah.
I get we wanna be fiscally responsible, but if we're gonna, as a board, get down to where we're picking and choosing whether or not we buy 2 desks, you guys are gonna have to find somebody else to be in this room, because
I'm gonna defend myself, I didn't get this till this afternoon.
I understand.
And that's the first thing I would have called somebody, said, who's ordering this? and
I understand, I'm
what's
just making the point that I don't want us to get in the habit and us to set the expectation with some new board members. I think we can question these things, I don't think there's a problem at all with that, but I don't want us to get in the habit of thinking we're going to decide whether or not we're gonna buy $2,600 worth of desks. Cause I don't think that's up to us.
Here, maybe some background, or just some, how we go about this each year is, a spreadsheet, the business manager puts out a spreadsheet, so Bryce put out a spreadsheet, teachers get to make requests, and then it comes back to administrators, and we go through and we approve or disapprove.
Right.
And I can't remember off the top of my head all the stuff that was on our list, but I look at it, and I go through and sometimes they'll put links, and sometimes it's as simple as like, we have a teacher that's needing desk. But we do go through a spreadsheet, and so every administrator should have looked at each thing and approved it. Tom Van Valkenburg also, maintenance-wise, they'll do some, he does some looking at, okay, this is what they're saying we need to order, but what do we also have inventory-wise that might be
That might fit.
at the district office or
And I guess that's my point, is that these should have all gone through some approval processes before it ever came to us.
I see what Jay's asking though,
No,
because
I
if we
agree.
have 2 now, how many are we gonna be getting?
Right, no, I'm not questioning the questioning of it. I just don't know that we wanna start going through line items of
Pre-approval.
purchase stuff, because we could be here, I mean, that will turn us into a full-time gig.
Well, I would assume or know that each principal approved these before Bryce got a hold of it.
so.
So
Right.
apparently that, he's saying that, so.
So, we would need a motion to approve the RFP from Navrats for the furniture. And in an amount not to exceed, or do you need it for the exact amount? Or is it the
I would say
proposal
as presented.
Okay. So, I would move that we approve the RFP for Navrat's office products as presented for the classroom furniture.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the RFP for Navrat's office products for classroom furniture. Is there any further discussion?
Sure, I would just add in, as you're deciding these things, Navrat's, one of the reasons that we get a bid from them is they will come in and they set everything else up. Like our maintenance people don't have to do any work with it. Everything comes in, even if it has to be put together, they come in with a crew, they put everything together, they warranty everything too. So any of our desks that come in, I think it's like a 5-year warranty. If something breaks on them, even if it's just something small, they'll come in and replace everything. So they've been really good to work with.
They put this one in.
speaking with.
Five of them.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is an executive session for personnel. There will be no action taken, so those of you that are online can feel free to jump off. But we do need an executive session for personnel for 10 minutes, please.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exemption under COMA. And the open meeting will resume in the boardroom in 10 minutes.
Mrs. Meyer and the board.
Mrs. Meyer and the board in 10 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Donnie, that we go into a 10-minute executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under COMA with Mrs. Meyer and the board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will begin our time as soon as the room clears, and we have moved everyone to the waiting room and stop the recording. Thanks. We are back in open session. We will need an additional executive session for personnel.
Madam President, I move we go into an executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exemption under COMA, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom in 5 minutes with the board and Nancy Meyer.
Second.
It's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Jay, that we go into a 5-minute executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to the non-elected personnel exemption under COMA with Mrs. Meyer and the board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and our time will begin once we move everyone to the waiting room and pause the recording. We are back in open session. We will need an executive session for negotiations.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss the latest proposal from the negotiation committees pursuant to the exemption for employer-employee negotiations under COMA, and the open meeting will resume in the board room in 30 minutes with the board, Nancy Meyer, and Amber Weeks.
There's a second. It's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Donnie, that we go into a 30-minute executive session to discuss the latest proposal from the negotiating committees pursuant to the exemption for employer-employee negotiations under COMA with Mrs. Meyer, the board, and Amber Weeks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Time will begin once we put everyone in the waiting room. We are back in open session. We need an additional executive session for negotiations.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss the latest proposal from the negotiation committees pursuant to the exemption for employee negotiations under COMA, and the open meeting will resume in 15 minutes with the board, Nancy Meyer, and Amber Weeks.
I can second. It's been moved by Kelsey, seconded by Jamie, that we go into a 15-minute executive session for negotiations to discuss the latest proposal from the committees pursuant to the exemption for employer-employee negotiations under COMA with Amber Weeks, Mrs. Meyer, and the board. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Time will start once we put everyone in the waiting room and pause the recording.
Go home.
With no further items to discuss, we are adjourned. Thank you. We look forward to seeing everybody in June.